And we continue at 2:06 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in Culver City.
John, I think the audience is aware that I listen to a lot of stupid things for research for this show and the other show that I do on KABC, and this one might be the dumbest. I just saved to my YouTube playlist a podcast from Pod Save America. It's called The Yimby and NIMBY Debate Housing, starring Scott Wiener and Imelda Padilla.
Street pavements that are cooler.
Wait, those two went up against each other in a steel cage match?
Yes.
The neighborhood kids, the down-ass kids don't like it.
I saw this little tiny graphic while I was scrolling through YouTube. I'm like, wait, that's Imelda.
Okay, what arguments did she make? Because the LA City Council doesn't have ideological disagreements with the law. The law just prevents them from extracting bribes from developers.
That's pretty much the argument.
Broken windy theory.
I'm going to find out. That is 22 minutes of my life that I'll never get back, and I'm doing it all for this audience.
That's what I call sacrifice. As we mentioned before, and on yesterday's program, the field for governor here in the state of California has not yet solidified. There are more names who are considering jumping into the race, and I would assume at a certain point, some of the current candidates are going to realize there's no pathway forward for them, and they'll find something else to run for. Well, the new name that's being thrown around as a potential candidate for governor is California's United States Senator Alex Padilla.
Now, Johnny, I've just got a quick procedural question for the potential of Alex Padilla running for governor. Because Alex Padilla's term doesn't end until 2028 as a United States Senator. He doesn't even have to drop out if he's running, right?
No, he has a free shot.
He can run for this office, lose in the primary, and he's still senator.
Right. If he runs and loses, he's still going to get a W-2 at the end of the year, and he's going to get to vote the United States Senate.
At that point, you might as well. By the way, if he wins, and let's get a really big if there, does that mean that he gets to appoint his own replacement for that seat?
I believe so.
Who's he going to give it to? Kamala?
It would be a twofer. And let me tell you, I know for a fact that Democrats at the highest levels within the Democratic Party are looking for another candidate to run for governor. They do not like Katie Porter. Nobody got along with her when she was in Congress. She wrote a book where she lit them all on fire, and they didn't respond well to that.
Was that the book, I Swear, Politics is Messier Than My Minivan?
Yes. And she made a bunch of claims about a bunch of other members of Congress and talked nothing but trash.
She pretty much said that Nancy Pelosi was mean-girling her.
Well, she said that the women in leadership in the House, and at that time the Democrats were in control, were all old ladies, and none of them had young kids at home, and they put her on some committee that met at a time that wasn't good for her. And she said she had trouble finding childcare, and she wanted them to change the time of the committee meeting. And they said no. And she said they wouldn't accommodate her because old ladies forgot how it was like to have kids at home. And no one likes being called an old lady. And that's what she called them all.
Well, I mean, it is accurate. Most of those wells dried up a long time ago.
She also talked trash about Harley Ruda, who used to be the congressman from Laguna Beach, who she referred to as Congressman Rich Guy. And she claims, because she does dress like a slob, that she was at some fundraiser, at some event, and he looked at her and didn't recognize her and thought that she was the valet. And he took his car keys and he threw them at her gut, and they bounced off her gut and hit the floor. And he told her where to park his car.
That's great.
Like, please.
He denies that and was very angry when that story appeared in the book.
You know, she made an audiobook version of that. You might want that for your next cruise.
Oh, could you imagine if we play snippets of that on this radio program? But the Democratic Party doesn't trust her, doesn't like her, certainly doesn't want her to have the power of God over them. But right now she's polling in first place. And the other Democrats in the race, the ones that are in better standing, not good standing, but better standing, like Antonio Villaraigosa, they just don't have the juice. So they need to find someone else. I told you some time ago that Nancy Pelosi was kicking tires on having her daughter run for governor. Her daughter allegedly wants to replace her in the United States Congress, but it looks like the daughter doesn't have the ability to beat Scott Wiener. So they're looking for something else for the daughter. That's when Nancy Pelosi started kicking tires on running the daughter for governor. Well, apparently there was no appetite for that. So now they've settled on Alex Padilla. He looks like the most likely candidate for the Democratic Party to put in the race so that he can save the seat and he can make sure that he spreads the spoils out accordingly.
Well, and he has the ultimate spoil. If you endorse him, he could potentially make you the next senator.
For sure.
For more on Padilla's possible run, here is a report from ABC7 in the Bay.
Could a familiar and prominent face be entering the race for...
He's not a familiar face.
Nope.
People know him right now because of that whole video where he got tackled by the cops at Noam's presser. But until then, Alex Padilla was relatively anonymous.
I still think if he were to walk down Hollywood Boulevard, the first 100 people who ran across him, I would say less than 5 would recognize him, and maybe even less than 3.
Could a familiar and prominent face be entering the race for California governor? In the gubernatorial race that's been in need of a frontrunner, now reportedly tonight, U.S. Senator Alex Padilla is considering throwing his hat into the ring. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Dan Ashley.
And I'm Ahmed Dates. According to Politico, the current U.S. senator is reportedly considering a bid to replace Governor Newsom, who terms out at the end of 2026.
ABC 7 News Politico.
You know who Padilla could appoint as senator and give some relevancy to somebody that's termed out in 2026?
Gavin Newsom.
Crazier things have happened.
Well, don't forget, Gavin Newsom was the one that appointed Alex Padilla to the U.S. Senate so he could return the favor.
Who terms out at the end of 2026.
ABC 7 News political reporter Monica Madden has been working her sources all day on this and joins us now. So, Monica, what's the buzz on Senator Padilla?
Well, everyone in this race has been looking for who was going to lead the pack, especially after former Vice President Kamala Harris announced that she would not run for California's top executive. And
not only that, Eleni Kounalakis and her millions of dollars said they're not running either.
As soon as she dropped out of the race without much of an explanation that made sense, it was obvious that someone else would be entering the race.
For Californians.
She's going to run for treasurer.
Good luck with that.
And now several Democratic consultants I spoke to today say there's increasing chatter about Senator Alex Padilla as a possible contender for governor.
Speculation swirling Tuesday around Senator Alex Padilla.
Speculation swirling? Great alliteration.
Speculation swirling Tuesday around Senator Alex Padilla's political prospects.
Political prospects, even better alliteration.
Not at Mark Brown level, but close.
Well, just as a reminder, because I haven't played it in quite a while, this is the gold standard when we're talking about alliteration in a newscast.
Naked and unafraid and just a feet away from the Beverly Hills border. As the tents go up, the clothes come off, and now outraged locals are fighting back against the nudity, narcotics, and negative impact on their businesses.
That's the best in the business right there.
We love Mark Brown.
Political prospects. The U.S. Senator reportedly mulling a run for governor, according to Politico.
I'm going to take this incredibly safe job that I could have for the next 40 years until I drop dead, so I can do a job where everyone's going to hate my guts because I cannot solve the problems of this state.
Well, Barbara Stone said it yesterday. There's only one reason to trade the U.S. Senate seat for the governor's seat, and that is because you think you're going to be president someday.
Oh, boy. He is young in politician standards because he's only 52.
The U.S. senator reportedly mulling a run for governor, according to Politico.
The field froze, right? Nobody was raising any money. There was no big endorsements happening.
Despite dozens of candidates, the race remains largely stagnant, compounded by months of questions about former Vice President Kamala Harris, who last month announced her decision not to run.
She's going to release a book instead.
Who in the world is going to read that book?
You're not curious?
No.
Not even an excerpt or two?
I know what happened.
Creating a scenario where a bigger named candidate like an Alex Padilla could potentially...
Not a bigger name.
No, I still don't think people know who he is. If the Democratic Party establishment gets behind them, that'll probably be enough to get him over the finish line. But I would not regard him as being as well known as, say, Gavin Newsom or Kamala Harris or Jerry Brown or any of the other bold-faced names in California politics.
You mentioned Jerry Brown, right?
Well, even Willie Brown. Willie Brown is in his 90s. I guarantee you more people know who Willie Brown is than Alex Padilla.
I think if Willie ran at 90, people would vote for him.
Probably.
And it'd be sharper than half the people running. Yes, Alex Padilla doesn't have a whole lot of name ID, but he probably has more name ID than 3 of the Tonys combined.
Well, he was appointed. And whenever you get appointed to something and you don't win a top-of-the-ticket election on your own, you're going to be known by fewer people because you didn't spend a cycle spending money, putting your name out there. We learned this also with Javier Becerra.
Who?
For Secretary of Health and Education Service, I nominated Javier Becerra.
I stand corrected. But this guy is running. He was an attorney general in California. He was the Secretary of Health and Education Services under Biden. Nobody knows who he is.
The people at Scotch-Brite know who he is.
Scrub it.
Outside of them, no one does.
Candidate like an Alex Padilla could potentially get in the race if he decides.
And the latest polling shows a wide open field. A recent Berkeley IGS survey found about 38% of voters are undecided for their top pick.
Undecided meaning I don't know who any of these people are.
This state is so big and the media markets are so expensive. Unless you're someone who's a celebrity, whether it be a political celebrity or an actual celebrity, it's going to take a ton of money to get your name out there so people know who you are.
About 17% of voters prefer former Congresswoman Katie Porter.
There you go, Katie. You're in first place again.
Please.
I love the fact that that's what has the Democratic Party establishment freaking out.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
A chicken in every pot and an exercise bike in every kitchen.
Followed by Republican Sheriff Chad Bianco and former U.S. Health Secretary Javier Becerra.
Who can start to consolidate a base of support where they can raise money from and really be set up to run for governor next year?
Hands up, hands up.
In June, Padilla got a national boost after getting handcuffed for interrupting a DHS press conference.
He liked that attention. He's not used to it.
The moment we saw that video where he purposely got thrown out of that press conference, it was obvious he had big plans.
But even though he was appointed senator and he's run for re-election at that point, there would be no bigger scrutiny on him that he's had in his life than if he ran for this. And if you look into Padilla's past, he was presiding over the LA City Council where there was a whole lot of illegal activity going on.
Oh, yeah. That council is dirty and has been dirty for quite some time. And he was the ringleader of the circus when he was there. He wasn't just a councilman. He was the president of that council.
Becoming a flashpoint in the nation's discourse over immigration.
If that is what the administration is willing to do to a United States senator for having the authority to simply ask a question, imagine what they'll do to any American who dares to to speak up.
Political consultant Jim Ross says Padilla might find space in the progressive lane.
Getting roughed up by, Homeland Security staff.
Notice how no lane for any of these people running for governor has anything to do with fixing the problems that the state has.
No, because that's not regarded as relevant.
May have really had the senator look at where can I have more of an impact.
But notes it's too early to make any bets on this race.
It's really going to boil down and really become a really short sprint.
A spokesperson for Senator Padilla would not confirm whether or not the senator is considering a run for governor and said right now Padilla is focused on passing Proposition 50 in November, the current governor's referendum on redistricting. Right. So we got this election first, then we'll worry about the next one.
Busy. All right. And you'll keep track of it all.
Of course.
Thank you, Mom.
Hey, how long do you think it's going to be before we start seeing some of that money for No on 50?
I'm already getting stuff in my mailbox.
The direct mail campaign started before they even signed the bill.
You have two sides that both have endless supplies of money that are ready to go.
Please call our sales department at KABC and KSFO. We have inventory for you.
If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, with the end of the show quickly approaching, if you want to continue listening to us after we sign off at 3, that's easy to do.
What are you saying? That this audience doesn't want to go on YouTube and listen to that SB 79 debate between Scott Wiener and Imelda Padilla like I am?
That sounds like torture.
Well, if you want to keep listening to this show, including when I probably break that sound down tomorrow, search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's the Apple Podcasts app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You could download all the episodes. You could do what George Gascon does to himself in the middle of the night.
Do a Google on YouTube.
Nobody's trying to hire that guy. Have you noticed that?
Surprise.
I thought he was going to pull a Pammy Price and do a podcast to get even with everyone, but he stayed fairly silent. Anyway, search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get the KABC app or the KSFO app. Easiest ways to listen live to these radio stations and download all the podcasts. We listen to all the podcasts you don't want to listen to, so you can download ours and you'll pretty much hear everything you need to know.
Pagan Burger.
You know what's funny? Have you seen that crime in Washington, D.C. has fallen off a cliff ever since the National Guard went in?
You don't say. Can we have that in Oakland?
Well, remember in San Francisco when they had that Asian Economic Conference in town, and then all of the sudden the bums just disappeared overnight?
And Gavin was even asked, did you sweep them on the rug? Of course we did. Got to look nice for she.
It's so appalling that if they want to clean things up, they can, and they can do so easily. They just choose not to.
Well, and don't forget, even before that, it was Gavin Newsom who called in the National Guard to deal with the San Francisco Tenderloin. So how exactly is this controversial?
No kidding. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. We are constantly being told that if we were all just smart enough to understand statistics, we would know that crime is non-existent in California. Randy, you have an update for us on that.
Karen Bass, for the last few weeks, has been talking about that crime is at historic lows, 60-year low in the murder rate. And then over the weekend, a bunch of gang members kept shooting at each other, which culminated yesterday into a gang shooting where 5 people got shot outside a convenience store in the middle of the afternoon.
Wait a minute. The stats say that didn't happen.
Fox 11 sent Ed Lascos to cover this piece.
How crazy is that?
Oh, are we in luck? Here is Ed Lascos and Fox 11 News.
And it's on like Donkey Kong.
New at 10, tonight police continue to investigate the violent shooting. The suspects are still on the loose tonight. Let's go live to Fox 11's Ed Lascos in downtown LA with the latest. Ed?
Marla, the manhunt is on this late hour for 2, possibly 3 gunmen, all wearing hoodies, all using a white car for their fast getaway. The city's top cop stressing they want to tamp this down. His words before any possible gang retaliation really explodes out here on the streets. Watch.
It's a gang war, everybody. Happy Labor Day.
That's not supposed to happen in Karen Bass's Los Angeles.
Where are the violence interrupters and the community interventionists and all the other nonsense? Let's not forget, Johnny, what did we find out earlier this year? A nonprofit that the city of Los Angeles has been paying for years and years and years to intervene and make sure kids don't join gangs was the front for a gang.
People hear that, they think that couldn't possibly be true.
It is.
Picking up after the latest shooting to rip through South L.A. again, believed to be the dirty work of the gangs. First responders rushing in after what's first called a mass shooting.
At that time, our officers responded to multiple radio calls of victims being down.
5 victims down, 5 hit by gunfire here in front of this market, 85th and Figueroa. 2 or 3 shooters drive up, open fire, blasting out.
Old school drive-by.
Those were very common in the 1990s, and then we cracked down on gangs with gang injunctions. We cracked down on drive-by shootings with gun enhancements, and we solved the problem. And then we decided too many people were in prison, so let's go ahead and relax the rules. And now here we are.
Well, and if you listen to any long-form interview with Karen Bass, like I seem to waste my time with every weekend, Karen Bass will specifically say the reason she started the Community Coalition, the nonprofit, was because she thought all of those things to tamp down on the out-of-control crime in the 80s and 90s led us down the wrong path. And that's why we have homelessness today.
And we elected this person mayor.
Yep.
2 or 3 shooters drive up, open fire, blasting out windows, bullet casings scattered all over the parking lot.
Our victims are the ages between 19 and 35. I believe there's 4 males and 1 female victim.
So this is more gang-on-gang violence, right?
35 seems to be a little old, though, doesn't it?
No. I'm telling you, that gang that they finally arrested for committing nearly 100 burglaries, most of the people that they arrested were in their 40s.
At that point, crime is your vocation.
Yes.
The gunfire seen as a threat of escalating gang violence, serious enough to bring out the mayor and the city's top cop, both looking at exactly where it happened.
By the way, let me just set a scene for you here. You know where Karen Bass was supposed to be yesterday?
Where?
The Pacific Palisades, at a press conference where the last piece of debris was removed. She ditched that to go over here with the LAPD shooting presser.
The fires are a no-win situation for her. Any focus on the fires, bad for Karen Bass, bad for Gavin Newsom. They're going to start pretending like those fires never happened.
Well, and apparently Spencer Pratt was going to be at that press conference. It was going to heckle Karen Bass, but then she didn't show up.
Ooh, I would have loved to have seen that.
Serious enough to bring out the mayor and the city's top cop, both looking at exactly where it happened, right in the middle of the afternoon.
There's a school right across the street. That's the time generally that the school is letting out. The senselessness and the callousness of where they did it and when they did it, it should really hit all of us.
And also our community interventionists who work very hard to prevent this type of violence.
What do those people actually do?
I think they paid them to not shoot people.
The community interventionists, the ones that Karen Bass, when she was talking about her budget with BLM, said we have to give these people a raise so they don't go back to a life of crime. Her words, what exactly is it that they do to talk down the gang members from shooting each other?
I think we know the answer based on the results of this news story.
And the question that I always have is if you know, because you have these interventionists, who the gang members are, where they are, and that they're all packing with illegal guns, how are we not sweeping them off the streets right now?
In the old days with the mob, they used to call these protection rackets, where you paid the bad guys money not to harm you.
And also our community interventionists who work very hard to prevent this type of violence, to keep peace.
Maybe we need Project Ceasefire like up in Oakland, where we can have life coaches talk to the gang members about not shooting each other.
Oh, yes, that's exactly what we're missing. More bad ideas borrowed from Shang Tao.
Why is the difficult thing here taking the known gang members who all have a whole bunch of weapons and putting them in prison?
Because then we're criminalizing our communities.
This now the second shooting to strike here in this area in just the past 3 days alone.
I thought crime was down.
According to the stats, it is, Randy.
Year's not over.
Both possibly tied to the gangs.
Believe it was a drive-by shooting. 3 people shot at least. One of those persons we believe has died.
Okay, which news station has hired a New Zealander helicopter pilot? Not opposed to it. I love that accent.
Oh, me too. The Kiwis.
Believe it was a drive-by shooting. 3 people shot at least. One of those persons we believe has died.
This Sunday night, just a few blocks away on Fig, both of these shootings going down pretty much the same way, pretty much with the same MO. And yes, they are concerned about gang retaliation.
You know what's interesting is this is all just a few weeks after the feds busted up the prostitution gang that was all over Figueroa. And now that they're gone, it's the classic gangs that just want to constantly shoot at each other.
I think a lot of people, like the drive-by shootings, just assume that the gangs were largely gone. Well, according to the news cycle, that's not true.
They're still here, and they're packing.
Always
stay off Figueroa.
Unless you're 3-inch shrimp.
Always concerned about retaliation shootings, and as such, we try, as soon as we identify what potential gangs are involved, we put our people and our resources in the right places to create a deterrent effect and to use the intel that we have to be able to hold people accountable.
Now live, as for the victims, one listed in critical condition, 2 others serious condition, the others with non-life-threatening injuries. Both the chief there and the captain stressing you will see a lot more police in the area. Black and white patrols like crazy, even LAPD's gang intervention unit pounding the streets until they have these shooters off the streets, seemingly putting an end to this back-and-forth violence. For an hour live, LAPD headquarters. Back to the west side we go.
So there's the latest from Ed Laskos on the middle-of-the-day drive-by gang shooting a block away from a school. But don't you worry, crime is totally down.
Good job, Karen. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Yesterday, we told you that the NHL San Jose Sharks wanted the city of San Jose to pony up millions and millions and millions of dollars to renovate the hockey arena for the team. And today, Randy, we have an update.
They said yes.
That didn't take long.
Well, what are they going to do? Lose a bunch of sports teams and everyone start talking about the doom loop like Oakland?
Yeah, I think Oakland is the ghost of Christmas future. Once you lose the professional sports teams, no one respects you.
Just look at St. Louis. Let's go to Cron 4.
City and the Sharks announcing a new deal tonight. It will keep the team at SAP Center for the next 25 years. Cron 4 is...
And then in 25 years, they'll get another new arena. Where are they going?
Cron 4's Jack Mulma joins us now with what happens next. Hi, Jack.
San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan says this is possibly the biggest announcement he will make during his tenure as San Jose's mayor. Now, this deal does not just cover the San Jose...
I don't know. I thought clearing the 100,000 pounds of trash was bigger than this, but...
Yeah, I'd count that one as a big feather in my cap.
Now, this deal does not just cover the San Jose Sharks staying here in San Jose for the next 25 years. It also covers renovations to the SAP Center and connecting the arena to other areas of downtown. Excitement erupting at San Jose City Council Tuesday. The San Jose Sharks have a new deal with the city to not only stay in San Jose, but making a huge investment.
This deal isn't just about hockey and our beloved Sharks. Our pandemic comeback really rely on what we're calling the experience economy
This will include an improved SAP Center with a better walkway from the arena down Santa Clara Street and to San Pedro Square and Little Italy.
The result? They're going to make sure you can pregame and postgame.
Well, this is especially important for those smaller cities, or not necessarily smaller because San Jose is bigger than San Francisco, but cities that live in the shadow of other cities. It's like the Angels and the Ducks are so important to Orange County because Orange County lives in the shadow of Los Angeles. And you have professional sports franchises, and it makes you feel big. Long Beach, everyone forgets this. Long Beach is the size of Atlanta. But because Long Beach is in the shadow of L.A., no one thinks of them as being particularly big. If Long Beach had a professional sports franchise, people would probably think about them differently.
That's why they keep asking for the Angels to come over there.
No dice.
Is real. Thriving small businesses, vibrant public spaces, and stronger communities proud to call San Jose home.
The San Jose Sharks have been
The new tagline, San Jose, believe us, we're fun now. We're not just the suburbs of the Bay.
The San Jose Sharks have been riding on the slogan of "The future is teal."
Oh, boy. The problem with all this branding is they've been a terrible team for a while now.
Teal was a very popular color in the 90s. Since then, not so much.
After several seasons of struggling in the NHL, this investment brings hope.
50 million people over.
It's one thing when you sign these deals if they just won the Stanley Cup, but, you know, you still want to have the hockey team because it's something to do in San Jose, but let's not kid ourselves and say that these are playoff contenders right here.
Not this season.
50 million people over the last 32 years came through our building to roughly 5,100 events. Here's to 100 million more. The future is clearly here in San Jose. Thank you.
But with San Jose having to navigate a multi-million-dollar budget deficit earlier this year, Mayor Mahan says he wants the public to know this $425 million joint investment in the Sharks is not taken lightly.
We don't agree on everything, but I think we made clear tonight we agree that San Jose bleeds teal.
So the Sharks agreed that you're going to pay for most of that arena.
It's a tough position to be in if you're a city because you need those teams really more than the team needs you.
The team will go wherever the highest bidder is, as so many teams have done, leaving Oakland and going to Vegas.
Yeah, there's zero loyalty. And I think at this point, across all of the leagues, whether it's the NHL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, NFL, whatever, that's been demonstrated. They're willing to pack up and go, including what happened with the Colts in Baltimore in the middle of the night with those Mayflower moving trucks, if that's what benefits them. But if you're a city, you're not regarded as being a real city unless you have the presence of professional sports. Is it fair? No. Is it true? Yes.
And you don't need all of them, but you've got to have one of them to be in contention. Nobody would talk about San Antonio if the Spurs weren't there.
Well, look how important professional sports was to Las Vegas, where they got the NHL franchise, the Golden Knights, and then all of a sudden everything just fell like dominoes, and now people look at Las Vegas as being a big, legit place.
At the same time, that's when Las Vegas started jacking up all the prices.
That's true.
The future is teal, and San Jose is the future.
Still, the city expects San Jose's economy to grow, banking on downtown's growth, next year's major sporting events, and the Sharks to deliver on some wins.
Well, that last part's going to be tougher.
Well, they need to attract people who want to live there to work in AI. AI is going to be the industry that drives the future for San Jose and probably the state of California, maybe even the nation. And if people who are movers and shakers in that world can choose where they live, and San Jose is where the action is, but it's a boring place, they're going to find excuses to not go there. They're going to find excuses to live and spend their time in San Francisco or work from home someplace else. But if you make San Jose an enticing place with fun stuff to do, and that's where the action is in that industry, the sky's the limit for them.
Now, we're going to have to wait until later this spring to have a more detailed timeline of a year-by-year basis of when the SAP Center revitalization project will be completed. The Sharks did tell us earlier today, though, that they've already spent a little bit of their own money to fund some renovation projects internally earlier this season in anticipation of this deal being done. For now, live in San Jose, Jack Wilmot, Cron 4 News.
I got to admit, sometimes when we do all these stories about the improvements in San Jose and the improvements in San Francisco with both of their new mayors, I get a little jealous because L.A. is going in one specific direction, and there are cities in the Bay Area that have seen the error of their ways of the past, and they are going towards common sense and a bright future.
No doubt. There you have it. The San Jose Sharks won't be leaving San Jose anytime soon. That's going to do it for us today, but we'll be back tomorrow at noon for another edition of The John Phillips Show.